I was relatively new in the orchestra, and Sarah Chang came, and she was 9 years old. And this is not to put any of the violinists down. I thought at that time she played the Paganini concerto, but I thought it was the best violin playing I had ever heard in my life at age 9.
Incredible talent.
And I knew that no matter how much I practiced from now till the day I died, I could never hope to play at that level. And it's...
And how it didn't bother you? Because when there's that kind of talent, it's not really intimidating. I don't find it. I just find it so.
It's exhilarating.
Yeah.
What makes a great pianist? It's a mystery. Is it the guy who can play the most notes? You know, the fastest notes, miss the fewest notes? I mean, because we've all played with pianists who can play a mile a minute, can play, 16-note chords, and there's nothing there. You can't define music. You can't define great musicianship, but you know it when you hear it.
I don't really ever recall not playing the violin. My mother was a professional musician, a pianist. Before I was born, she decided that she wanted to, one, have a son, and two, have that son, train that son to become a professional violinist. Really, she wanted a world-famous solo violinist. And so when I was 3 years old, Santa Claus brought me a little violin, and she was on a mission. Our household kind of revolved around my violin playing. From the moment I woke up in the morning, while I was eating my cereal, it was absolute indoctrination. I remember them listening to Berg, Alban Berg operas. I mean, just all kinds of music, analyzing it, process of developing my ear, trying to ensure that I had perfect pitch, even if I didn't have it. So sitting at the piano and identifying notes. She always spoke as though my success were a foregone conclusion. Every piece that I learned, I would perform it with her on tape, so we would have an archive, a David Kim archive. It was almost as though she were telling me my own biography as it was happening. By the time I was 8 years old, I was going to Juilliard, and we lived in South Carolina. I was flying back and forth every other weekend. And then, unfortunately, she never got to see the fruits of her labor. When I was 14, she passed away of stomach cancer. It was very painful. After my mother passed away, there were a few years where I was kind of lost, and then I had to make a decision. It was kind of, okay, let's find some goal in order to keep going, some motivation to keep going. The Tchaikovsky competition in 1986 was still the greatest music competition on earth. It was just so exciting to be there and be behind the Iron Curtain. It was kind of like being an Olympic athlete. I was the only American to win a prize in the violin competition. And I used it to play with bigger orchestras, to get better dates. And for a while, it really worked. I thought I was going to be a concert soloist. I got pretty close at some points. I had some really nice concerts. I did a lot of traveling. But as I kind of entered my early and mid-30s, I was playing more in small towns in the Midwest or in the South than I was in Boston or Philadelphia or New York or Paris or London. But I couldn't see the writing on the wall, and this is kind of a fatal flaw that I have, is that my ego wouldn't let me see that. I was just kind of staying at home and cooking and playing golf and going away once in a while to give a little rinky-dink concert. And one night we went to see this movie, Jerry Maguire, and it's kind of a story about great success and then failure and then kind of an epiphany and then redemption. And for some reason, that movie had such an effect on me. I came downstairs in the middle of the night. It sounds kind of corny, but the moon was coming in through the skylight. And then it just hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, you know what? It's never gonna happen. You're never gonna get there. The next morning, my wife came down for breakfast and I said, Janie, that's it. I'm gonna join an orchestra. Now, I really feel like I'm the luckiest guy in the whole world. I can play the greatest music ever written. I vaguely remember even when I was about 5 years old, my parents speaking at the breakfast table about the Schubert Cello Quintet, saying something like, man, wouldn't it be great to be able to play that second theme in the first movement? Because my mother was a pianist, she could never play it. And my father is a college professor, and he obviously never could play the Schubert Cello Quintet. Now, I play that music, and it is pure ecstasy. And I wish I could go back and say to my mom, oh, Mom, I'm doing it. It is incredible. You wouldn't believe it.
Music making is community. Every musician, even if they're a famous soloist or a famous singer, they play with a band, they play in a chamber group. If they're not communicating with other people musically, they're not having a full life.